I'm back. I had to come back. I want to finish this. We got 20 minutes of it. I had to go to the bathroom. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a Muslim, so I went and prayed like the sundown prayer. It's like 3 minutes, so I had to do that. I had to choose between, praying or continuing to do the stream to one guy. So I just went there. I hope you guys are not going to hold that against me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, okay, let's go. Let's finish this old brat over here. I'm back. Sorry. All right, let's go.
That she had done that. But
you seem to be a couple steps ahead of me throughout this. You're expecting this?
I don't know if expecting that is what I would say. But I'm sorry, I'll try and be quieter.
When you keep saying Clorina Perez over and over, and you keep mentioning her name, in this audio, you don't actually say Clorina Perez.
Okay.
Is she the one you're referring to when you say the Spanish girl?
I think she is. I don't think the others were Spanish, but they could have been.
Okay. And did you see Clorina Perez at the farmyard, I'm sorry about the name, but the farmyard memorial in August?
That's where she told me.
Okay. Isn't it true that when she came up to you and tried to talk to you, you actually ignored her?
No, it's not.
Dr. Warford testified and called you a problem solver. Would you agree with that?
I think on my feet, yes.
It's true. You're not a lawyer, right?
No.
You got a lot of lawyers in your family?
True.
Including some of them that practice criminal defense.
Yes.
Ms. Brophy, do you know where I can go in the metro area to rent night vision goggles?
I have no idea.
What?
You know if there's a place I can go where I can just try them out, handle them?
I have no idea.
So why is her?
I had a person who worked for me who took a loan from me, and that was what he used for collateral. He paid the loan back, he got night vision goggles back.
Sorry, the line of questioning with your lawyer was things that you had purchased in order to further your writing.
It could have been, yes, I can see that, but in a way, I purchased it. If he had not come back and reclaimed it.
That's a fucking lie. Look at this. Whoa, I didn't even know what those night goggles was. Hold on. Damn, I didn't even know night goggles? She was going to go ninja on that motherfucker? Holy shit.
Event that she came up and said, I am the person who did CPR.
Yeah.
And I immediately burst into tears when she told me the story. I purchased it. If he had not come back.
Sorry.
In order to further your writing.
No, hold on.
I can see that, but
the farmyard memorial testified and called you a problem solver. Would you agree with that?
I think on my feet, yes.
It's true. You're not a lawyer, right?
No.
You got a lot of lawyers.
I want to hear about the night goggles. I didn't hear about that shit.
Yes.
Ms. Brophy, do you know where I can go in the metro area to rent night vision goggles?
I have no idea.
You know if there's a place I can go where I can just try them out, handle them?
I have no idea.
She had night goggles.
I had a person who worked for me who took a loan from me, and that was what he used for collateral. He paid the loan back, he got night vision goggles back.
Sorry, the line of questioning with your lawyer was things that you had purchased in order to further your writing.
It could have been, yes, I can see that, but.
See? It's fucking idiot. She lies, right? She told her something else. You see, when you tell the truth, you don't have a lot to remember. When you're lying, you have a lot to remember. You understand what I'm saying here? Let's say when you tell the truth, you don't need to remember stuff or repeat stuff. Even if you repeat them, they're always going to be the same thing. But when you're lying, it's hard to keep the facts together. So right now, she said, she bought a worker of her, we got to make sure I speak right English, bought night goggles and she lent him the money. Then, but she gave him back when he paid her. But when she spoke to her lawyers, asked her, she said she used them for that fucking story that she's making up on her mind. You see how she got caught in another lie? These lies are small, but they mean a lot to the jury.
But in a way, I purchased it. If he had not come back and reclaimed it, they would have been mine.
We heard from a few of your writer friends that are quite successful. Lots of public books and make a decent living. That's not true for you, though, right?
No, I started, most of those people started being published about 5 years earlier than I did, and I have not been successful. I have sold books, but I have not sold enough books to make me break out and have people say, hey, this is an author I remember.
She hasn't sold anything. Nobody buys them. Nobody buys them.
Books get published every month. It's now harder to do that. that it's been in the past.
Yeah.
Right. You actually self-publish on this.
I,
Have you ever been published besides yourself?
yes, I have.
What book was that?
It was a book called Sex in the Office. It was published by.
Sex in the Office. That bitch is a pervert.
And it's part of an anthology.
When was that?
The 1900s. The fuck. She can't remember. That's how long ago it was.
2005, maybe 2006, somewhere in there.
Like 20 years ago, right?
Not much success after that?
No.
I would say publishing changed, and I would say it differently. I would say I didn't get into romance writers with the idea that of being published. That was never my goal. My goal was to write because I like to write. Friends like Sir Luke said, no, you need to write toward getting published. And we were friends long enough that I wrote toward getting published.
When did you start writing?
When she was 10.
I can't remember the time I haven't written.
Whole life?
Whole life.
And
See?
when we talk about being published, there's been some questions to you about this Witches book or Witches trilogy that you wrote in this email that you got. That was from a publisher?
That was from an agent.
An agent, so not a publisher.
That's right.
It was an agent asking to see more of the writing so they could determine whether they were going to be interested in purchasing it, correct?
That's true.
Nobody
No, they weren't. No. An agent acts as your go-between. A lot of editors won't look at your work without an agent.
So nobody was actually telling you they were buying that book?
Nobody was telling me that, no.
How many people do you think you sent that manuscript to?
I didn't send the manuscript to many people, but I queried a lot of people.
You didn't send that manuscript to...
At best, I sent a chapter. Editors,
Sure.
agents don't want to have you send their manuscript unrequested. You send a little bit of the writing, they look at it and say, yes, we're interested in this story, no, we're not.
I'm not an author, so I don't necessarily... I might be using the wrong terminology, so feel free to correct me. You sent a sample, a piece
Right.
of the story to how many people do you think?
Oh, I probably sent it out to 10 or 20.
See?
You rejected from all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got this...
He's trying to say she's a failure. You're a failure!
You didn't respond to it.
You're a failure!
Yes, I did.
Where's that?
I sent them the manuscript.
Where's that?
What do you mean, where is it? It went magically by email to her. A few months later, if you look down the road, you'll see that she sent me a rejection letter. And I would guess, based upon what I know about this, that it would take her 90 days to do that.
Testified yesterday that you didn't know anything about guns. So you had to do some research.
That's true.
Okay, see?
It began in 2017.
She wrote about guns in all the
That
stories.
began with this particular story in 2017.
You actually know quite a bit about guns before that, right?
I wrote heroes that operated with guns, but where I would get into trouble because I didn't write in depth about guns, like for example in 2015, I did a lot of research on dirty bombs and on plastic explosives like C4.
Woo! That bitch was crazy. She was trying to blow up the guy.
Indeed, I hadn't really needed, I could pass guns off by throwing out equipment stuff. I could talk about flashbangs, and I could talk about it, so it sounded like my guys were in it. You know, romance writers don't need a technical description. I'm not Tom Clancy. What they need is enough believable things that they can get by. Now, when you're writing a book about guns and putting it together, you need information about guns. But for the most part, and in that book, I needed information about how C4 worked and what a string of pearls were, and things like that. I needed information. I researched Navy SEALs because several of my heroes were leaving the military and they had been Navy SEALs. You
Right.
know?
But when you say things to the police like, oh, the shooter thingy, I mean, you have more knowledge than that.
I have more knowledge than that, but
She was trying to act like she's one of the old fucking 65-year-old with no police said, oh, did he get killed by that shooter thing? Like she doesn't know what guns are. He's trying to bring home the point that she really wrote about guns like 3 or 4 years ago. And she had the guns in her house. She knows what the guns are. They're called guns. They're not called shooter things. She's trying to put that, you know, she's a manipulative, is that a word? If you guys help me. A manipulative piece of bitch. She's a bitch. I don't know if you could say that. Bitch is a bit like a dog. I'm not trying to say that. The issue here with her is that she's trying to put on that this innocent lady, old lady. She doesn't know the shooter thing. Is it the shooter thing? Then she goes and tells, was he shot by an AR-15? How the hell you know about an AR-15? Let's listen. This is the end of our testimony. Then tomorrow we're gonna have the closing argument by the prosecutor. Go ahead.
The shooter thing is when your husband has just died and your words are leaving you. I would have said the shooter thing when I was stressed. You know, I talk to myself in that video. I say, Nancy, this. I don't talk to myself in third person. I haven't gone over the bend that far.
Yeah.
And I listen to myself that thing and I think, whoa, I was stressed as hell that I'm talking to myself in third person.
Shut up.
2015, you wrote.
Look at your lawyer. Look at your lawyer. You haven't looked at her.
Page 231 of that book. It says, Austin counted to 25, slid out from his hiding place and fired 6 shots into the body on the bed. At the 7th squeeze of the trigger, the gun clicked. No more bullets.
Okay?
That sound right?
Yes?
You wrote that?
Yes?
In 2017, you wrote in self-published book called The Wrong Seal.
Yes?
On page 178 of that book, it says, slowly she eased the gun out of her pocket and propped the barrel on the branch. Each shot had to count. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Something you wrote?
Yes, but you notice none of that required any in-depth knowledge.
In January 2015, you self-published a book called Hell on the Heart.
I did.
On page 4064,
Yeah, not
the
4,000.
gun fired. The force of the projectile entering her body rocketed her backward. All that?
I'm pretty sure there was not 4,000 words in that, 4,000 pages in that book.
I'm sorry. I might have the page numbers wrong. I'm sure you're right. I don't think you wrote that lengthy of a book. Also in that book, you wrote, instead, a darkened window descended and the barrel of the gun sparkled in the sunlight. The shot was loud. Does that sound right?
Could be.
Yeah.
Later on in that book, you actually talk about a Glock specifically. You say, Dereb emerged, his Glock in his hand, but pointed toward the ground. Does that sound right?
Yes.
See, Jennifer, and put that fucking fake smile away. Look at her, she's gonna lie. Look at that fake, evil, fucking phone. Whew, how the fuck can you sleep with that shit, Dan? He used to sleep down in the basement. He knew.
And as long as we're on that, you asked, or somebody asked, sorry.
Also in that book, you talk about a Glock again.
Mm-hmm.
Instinctively, John counted each shot while pulling his Glock free of his shoulder holster.
Mm-hmm.
You wrote all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As a writer, is it true that you spend a lot of time thinking about murder?
Oh, yeah. When you're romantic suspense, somebody's dying.
Yeah, the husband.
You also consequently...
Can't trust all these old wives, man.
Is that right?
Can't trust these women.
Yes and no. I mean, I wrote that, and I know what you're quoting me on, but I think less about police procedure and more about, because with the exception of only one book, do I really talk about police. Most of my stories were frankly about the same thing, but police procedure is not, I don't go through it step by step. The only book that I have about cops is The Wrong Cop.
Yeah,
Let's really talk about what you're writing about. Talking about your thoughts.
I know, I don't think a ton about police procedure, you know. For one thing, I would have known more if I was paying attention in this case. This case has taught me a lot that I will never be able to.
Yeah, she told you a lot, all
A
right.
lot about police procedure. I have
Yeah,
no idea about.
you don't talk right away.
You've obtained books regarding police procedure, is that right?
I have research books on any number of things, but police procedure, I don't really think would be the thing. I've attended classes where they talk about police procedure.
Right. You took that class with Ms. Smith out in Washington County?
They didn't talk about police procedure then. I mean, there may have been some references to it, but they talked about what does the sheriff's county do, and what does each department do, and how are they working within the community. It was an interesting class. It taught me a lot of things, but it was for the benefit of the Washington County public relations, you know, that shows we are working in a different way than you think we're working. And it was very effective because I was dazzled by some of the things that they said.
And as a romance writer and thinking about murder and police procedure, you also consider what motives people might have. Is that correct?
Yes, because I don't think people murder willy-nilly unless you're a professional hitman. I think lots of people who say things like, I would never murder anybody. And I say, it's between you and your child. It's him or it's your child. What would you do? And I would bet money that that's all of a sudden their ideas of I would never murder anybody might radically change.
Would you agree that financial reasons is a big reason people might murder?
Yes, but I don't ever write about that. I mean, I think financial is a big reason.
No. And do you agree that divorce is expensive and may not result in you getting anything or much?
Divorce is expensive. I don't think that is a mystery to anybody here. But I don't think that it might result in you're not getting anything. You know, real frankly, I suspect that you will get half of what you have, you know.
Sure. And as a romance writer and thinking about these things, you know that people might consider using guns or knives or or poison to commit murder. Is that right?
Weapons, yeah.
And you also would, if somebody were to ask you, you advise against them of considering a hitman because you're bringing somebody else into your
How many Lifetime stories have we seen where the girl hires a hitman to kill her husband, and lo and behold, the hitman turns out to be an FBI agent? I
Yeah!
think that's a stomped-on thing.
You still got caught.
You actually find it easier to wish people dead instead of actually killing them, correct?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's so much easier to say than to actually do anything.
I wish Dan was dead.
You're over being annoyed at him. You're over being.
I wish Dan was dead, but he never dies. You had to kill him. I wish Dan was dead, wasn't it?
To you, Ms. Brophy, is if there's one thing that you know about murder, is it that anyone is capable of doing it?
I absolutely believe that. And I believe that because
She just indicted herself.
child or the person in front of you, 10 to 1, you will find yourself capable of murder. I think most people don't murder for flimsy reasons. I think people get pushed into a corner where they have no other options.
Yeah, like her.
Murder because they're protecting somebody they love.
She's describing herself. She needed money. She was broke. They were broke. Things were not going to get any better. She's 65 years old. She wants to go to Portugal. She wants to write those funny books that nobody buys. And Dan was just there. Dan was breathing as a human being and going to work and making a living for her to eat like that fucking monster. She is a monster. But he just doesn't want to die. And I'm 65. I don't have a lot of time. And Dan, you gotta die, Dan. Hurry up. Then she had to do it.
I think people murder, well, there's some mercy killings perhaps where
Mercy
people murder
killings.
to save the person they love pain, but I think that's rare. I think people murder in rage. I don't think people murder because they say, well, we'll just sneak down and do this quickly, I think if you're going to murder somebody, 10 to 1, that person knows that you are not happy with them. I don't think that should come as a mystery.
You should shut up.
To anybody.
Where the fuck is the lawyer? Objection! Objection! Shut it down!
Because, yeah, financial reason is a big reason. But going back to my case, there's not enough financial reason there to make it. I do better with Dan alive financially than I do with Dan dead.
She's lying. She's lying.
We had solved our problems. I turned the book into an editor and I said, well, they had a problem here in October of 2017, but they had solved it. But then she murdered him in 2018 when they had solved their financial problem. Where is the motivation, I would ask you?
Yes.
An editor would laugh and say, I think you need to work harder.
$1.6 million.
There's a big hole in it. I think people murder out of anger more than anything else.
She's angry he didn't die.
Ask everyone to stop there. It's now noon. We'll take our lunch break and be back at 1:30.
All right, there you have it. He doesn't ask her any more questions. The moral of the story is that Nancy is a piece of shit. We all agree. She filled her husband for insurance because they were at an age, she's 65 years old. I explained he's 64, and she worked for a life insurance company, so she bought all these crazy insurance that for them to cash them in, they'd have to be in the 90s. She's like saying, I'm 65 years old, and I want to travel the world because she fancies herself as some writer or a person, an elite who never worked or earned a living. She was feeding off this guy's fucking sweat and tears, and she ended up killing him. That's how fucking evil she is. So the whole I'm thinking of tomorrow or putting on the closing. What do you call it? I have these memory problems, man. Since I got COVID-19, I don't know what the fuck happened to my brain. The closing when the prosecutor does the closing of the case, and before they present it to the jury, and he'll break it down to you what she was doing, why he was asking such questions, and you're gonna see that prosecutors asking idiotic question or silly question that you think they don't mean anything, but they do mean something at the end, because they're trying to catch you, like I said, in these small little lies. And if they catch you in these small little lies, they build on after 1, 2, 3, after they become 10 lies. You're just standing there as a liar in the stand. Even if you're telling the truth, that's gone, because the jury, like any other human beings, if they see that you're lying about these small things in the court, one after the other, about not handling the gun, and she admits it, about not taking out the slide clock, whatever the fuck the thing was, and she did it, about the shooter thing. She said a lot of things about she saw Dan downstairs taking a shower in the morning, But she told the police she never saw him. So these little lies that she tells eventually caught up with her and eventually did her in, which is good. Justice sometimes does come in. But there's no justice with Dan. Dan is 64 years old. He's a hardworking man. He's an ex-cop. He's a chef. He taught people how to cook and make a living. He was a good person. He cooked for the homeless. He did everything that is good. She's an evil piece of shit. And I wonder right now, she probably, tell the girls in jail, well, you have to do this and do that. Shut up. If you were that smart, you would not be in jail with us. Anyway, until we meet next time. I'll see you tomorrow, man. All right?